Okay, so this is recording so that when you boot into Windows, you get an error message straight away and it won't allow you to log in. In fact, I'll just show you the error message. Let me restart. Okay, so this is a fix video for the people that are using Windows 10 or 11 and they find that they have a corrupt drive or corrupt Windows installation, and this is the error message that you get, and it won't allow you to sign into Windows. And you also can change, the error message can constantly change as well, and pressing like F1 or press to enter or press F8, press F8 wouldn't do anything. Pressing any repair options won't do anything. So if I restart the computer, I'll show you how to fix it. I've put in a installation USB drive to install Windows 10, but we're not going to use it to install Windows 10, we're just going to use it to fix it. There are some other boot CDs out there that have got a graphical user interface, but this is free, even though it's maybe a bit complicated to do, it's free, instead of buying any proprietary tools to do this. Obviously using Windows repair tools won't do anything. It will just come up saying that it will put error messages into a log file. The log file will just say that you need to reinstall Windows and you've got a corrupt installation. So it will come up now with the Windows installation dialog box, but at which point we hold the Shift button and press F10, and that will give us a command prompt. I'll move this so that you can see this. Okay, and then we type in Diskpart, and then it enters the Diskpart utility. It's all command line based. I don't know whether I can put the font up so that you can see this better. I don't know how well you can see this. Let's see if we can make the font a bit bigger for you and make it bold. If I exit out of this and press Shift 10 again, it's made it a bit better, a bit bolder. Let's up the font again. Exit out of that, Shift 10. Okay, maybe that's a bit better for you. Okay, I don't know whether that will actually fit on the screen. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Okay, defaults, let's get it just a bit down to 20, because otherwise you won't be able to see everything that fits on the screen. So Shift F10 to open the command prompt up. Okay, we'll use that. Type your Diskpart, list disk. We've got a few disks on there. I'm going to take out the other installation that I've got as a mirroring image, which I use for backing up. So if I type in this disk again, I've taken that out. So now we see a SSD and the Windows installation. I know the Windows installation, due to the size, is this one. So I'm going to go select disk 1. Disk 1's now selected, and I want to list partition. So list partition, and then we've got partition 1 is primary, partition 2 is primary. Now that won't really work based on just that actually. We've got one that's a size of 202. Usually, because I know this is booted before, this is going to be my EFI boot partition. It's usually around 100 megs to 500 meg. Usually what your EFI boot partition is, but it's not going to be a primary partition. The way that's dictated is by using the IDs. So if we go to help set set ID, help set ID, it gives you a couple of examples of EFI reserved IDs. This is for actually a GBT UEFI ID. The MBR is a little bit shorter of an ID, which is what you would use in an MBR situation. This is for GPT disks and UEFI installs only, but I'm doing mine on a UEFI, so that's what I'm going to choose. Okay, so list part, you can say part instead of partition, and it will automatically know what you're talking about. So I want partition 1 to be EFI, so select select part 1, partition now 1 is selected, set ID equals, and we set it to that ID that was now EFI. So if I list part now, we've got now a system partition, which is now what it will boot off. It will accept that as a boot, and we've got a primary partition, which is what Windows is on, which is our boot drive. So that should work. But the BCD, the firmware that which points to the BCD is incomplete or incompatible with what has just occurred. We've changed ID, we've changed some partition information, everything needs to be kind of rebuilt. So if we go to list vol, this will list the volumes, and we can now see that we have an EFI volume that doesn't have a label. We can see our drive C there, which is actually not drive C. It's not actually drive C for our Windows. Drive E is for our Windows. Fire Apps is another drive I have. You can see by the size on this system. EFI doesn't have a letter, and what would normally be letter C in our Windows partition is actually letter E on this particular session that we're in command prompt. So let's change some things around and make things easier for us to get things working. So if we go to select vol 0 and we do assign letter equals, we'll say, just to get it out the way, M, and then we'll do select vol 2, assign letter, now we're going to put a C, and then we want to do select vol 1, assign letter V. You can be any letters, but it's just now better if we do a list vol, that we can now see that we will list it. Ignore that top one because it's just a drive that I've got some applications on that I've been using to fix my computer, because I've had some massive computer problems recently. So this is one of the things that I've had to fix on the computer, is the boot sector to even boot into Windows. And I decided to put a little video in it to show the people how to fix that. But I've got a whole other host of things to do after this is fixed, so I'm making this video just for that anyway. So we've got an EFI partition and we've got our logical disk there. Now that we've assigned a letter to it, we can actually exit out of Diskpart and CD. Actually, we can either CD with a D and go into V, and it will take it into V. You can't let's say our disk was C. You can't just CD into C. It will just show you that, and you're not CD'd into it. Or instead, what you type is in just the letter, and it changes you back into the drive. So there's two ways to do that. Use the /D to change the working directory, or you can use the drive letter on its own to change your working directory, to change what disk you're actively using. So if I go to the V drive, which is our EFI drive, and do a dir, we can actually see things that are normally not visible to us when we are using Windows, because this is a kind of system disk that is reserved for the firmware and boot manager for Windows. And if we go into CD into the EFI, then we can dir. In fact, I can show you a bit of a faster way if this works. Like put a tree of everything in, like tree. No subfolders exist. Man, I forgot how to use this command. Hang on, let me say tree. I haven't used this in ages. Tree. dir. CD Microsoft dir. There was like there's a better way for using tree, but I can't remember the command reference. The drive and the path. So I'll do like V. Yeah, they're like that. You see, I did know it. EFI boot, and then you got all these. It's not showing the files though, so I don't know if I need to put like an F there to show the files. There'll be some like switch. Oh, there we are. So you type in tree/V, and it will show you the files in every directory recursively, so that you know basically a holistic view of the whole drive. It's just I haven't used that command in a million years, so you know, I'm kind of rough with it. But we notice that the ENGB folder has our boot manager and the boot firmware EFI. They're basically you know, the firmware which we need to use. But we can also note that in the EFI Microsoft boot, there is at the very bottom a BCD, and that is basically our store for what you see when you like have multiple operating systems on an operating system, and it allows you to have entries in there that allow you to choose which operating system you want to choose to boot into. Some people will just have one operating system on one computer, so they won't need to worry about that. But you can have a look at your current BCD by typing in BCD edit, and that will give you a boot manager. It says device unknown. We're going to fix that. An EFI boot firmware, that's which currently live in. ENUS, ENGB, that's wrong. So there's a few things wrong here, that's wrong. So it's not booting for a few reasons. So let's see if I can remember these commands, because like I say, I'm a little bit rusty off remembering these things. So let's do a BCD boot C Windows, and that's why I changed the letter to C, because of how you know, like used to it I am. So Windows, and then we want to put like L for our locale, ENGB, and then we want to put S for where we're going to store our firmware boot system files, which is V. And then I think we can just put F, and then we can force it to be UEFI, and that accepted that command. It's a bit long-winded, but now if we do a BCD edit, we'll see that it's changed our default to ENGB. Our bootloader doesn't really matter that it's ENUS. We can change that, we can force that with basically the same command with just the L, and it'll change it, but we only need it to be ENGB just for Windows, you know, just because that's what it's going to be using. Right, what else do we need to do now? So we need to do bcd rec. No, let's do boot sect, so that we can change or inject our boot sector. Slash nt60 for all, and we want to, let's see, force that to happen. I'm using that wrong. Boot set entity system or force. Okay, yeah, boot code was successfully updated on all target volumes. That's what we want. Okay, and we can see how it's taken that command and it's successfully given the boot codes for those file systems on those volumes, because we changed our ID, remember, previously. So let's just change this color. We change to 6. Yeah, it's a little bit nicer on the eyes. Okay. Okay then. So we do like a bcd boot slash fix boot. Is that right? bcd. It's bcd. They've got really weird commands. Bcd rec, is it? Or was it boot rec? Access denied. ScanOS. Right, boot rec ScanOS. The name's quite similar. You have to kind of distinguish them between themselves in your mind, but you know. Wait for this to scan. It's scanning for Windows installations. Hasn't found any new ones. We're going to rebuild the BCD now. Rebuild BCD. Right, okay, so BCD edit. Has it got our Windows in there? So it looks like it's got our partition V, our partition C. It's got this weird thing that we don't like, so let's copy that and bcd edit slash that slash delete. I can't remember how to use this command. Bcd edit. Where's it? Bcd store slash delete. Delete. No, hang on. Let me just change this to a question mark here. So we can't do anything. We can't do anything with that, can we? Yeah, delete copy. So I think it needs it first. So we need to delete. And I didn't copy that thing. Okay, bcd edit. I don't like this identifier here because we've only got Windows in here. It'll give us 2 boot options, so we don't want that. bcd edit slash delete. Command successfully done. Right, we should only have 2. Yeah, we only want the boot manager to basically tell us that we've got Windows. We don't want 2 sets of Windows because then one won't boot into each other. So you only want 2. If you only want the boot manager to tell you where do you want to boot. It's not going to do that because we've only got 1 boot option. So bcd boot bcd boot rec. Yeah, it's only, I have to change the commands up because it's either boot rec, bcd edit, boot sect, or there's another one I can't remember. But you have to kind of interchange the commands. But it looks kind of healthy like that. So what we'll do is we'll exit out of here. and then we'll go to next, repair your computer, and then we'll press continue to Windows 10 and see if it's worked. Has it worked? I don't know. Let's hope it's worked anyway. It takes a bit of time, I think, anyway, because it's like it's still figuring out everything. Because we've just like forced everything to change places in the boot sector. So we're trying to optimize it and everything. So I hope that's what it's doing. There we are. So it's worked. So that's how you fix a boot sector on Windows 10. So yeah, thanks. I hope you enjoyed that.